The Republic of Finland was declared in 1917 and established itself in a bitter civil war against communism. Now, 22 years later, welcome to the Strategic Mind tutorial. In this operation, you will learn how to deploy and move your troops, attack the enemy, and be victorious. If you are new to this genre and have not played many turn-based war games, we advise you to complete all the tutorial operations. You can skip any message by clicking on it with the left mouse button. Units under your command are listed in the Units panel at the bottom of the screen. To the left, you can find the minimap, which will help you to quickly get your bearings in battle. All objects are marked with the corresponding color. Your units are green, allied units are blue, the enemies are red. In the Units panel at the bottom of the screen, you can see the unit that is currently selected, the tank. Open its Unit Info screen by clicking on the highlighted button. The Unit Info screen contains all the key data about the selected unit. Under the unit picture, you can see its strength. Both the unit's health and damage output depend on strength. The lower the strength, the less damage the unit will deal to the enemy. If the strength reaches 0, the unit is destroyed or forced to retreat. The unit's combat parameters are listed at the top right corner. The higher they are, the better. With the mouse over the combat parameter, you will see a hint with a list of all bonuses and penalties to that parameter at the moment. Now click on the highlighted parameter. This is more detailed information on how this parameter works. Now close this tab. Right under the combat parameters, you can see the unit's equipment panel. Underneath it, you can see the skills panel. There are a number of passive and active skills unique for every unit class. Infantry has one set of skills, tanks have another, and so forth. When hovering over any skill, you can see a hint explaining how it works. The unit's class is indicated right above its picture. There you can see its model name as well. You can always change a model name to a custom entry by clicking on it. Now close the Unit Info screen. It is high time for troops deployment. Every operation starts with the deployment phase, during which you look at the highlighted hex. It is a deployment hex. You can now deploy your artillery unit to the adjacent empty hex. Deploy the tank unit. Great! Now your army is ready to do battle. Click on in the top left corner of the screen, you can see the list of your primary and secondary objectives for this operation. Above, you can also see a victory progress bar. This bar indicates how well your troops are doing in the operation. At the top right corner of the screen, you can find the Command Points button. Command points are used for troop embarkation on air, naval, or train transport, and for the use of headquarters skills, special abilities, giving various tactical advantages to your forces. You can click on it to see the HQ skills available. You will learn more about it in another part of the tutorial. To the left, you can find the Prestige button. Prestige is a resource you can use to acquire more troops and equipment for them. Select the tank by clicking on it with your left mouse button. To the right, in the Unit Actions panel, you can see the Embarkation and Headquarters skills buttons. Below, you can see the active skills if there are any. In the case of naval units or armored trains, the different parts of the ship or train are also displayed here. The hexes where the unit can move to are highlighted. Now move your tank to the designated hex by clicking on it with the right mouse button. Usually, units can move and attack only once per turn. However, there are a number of exceptions to this rule, which will be presented at the later stages of the tutorial. Units can attack either before or after their movement. Select the infantry unit. As you can see, the infantry has fewer movement points than the tanks. To solve this problem, infantry can then select the artillery unit. Move it into the designated hex. Your troops have moved to an advantageous position and are ready to storm the city on your next turn. Now your tank can move your mouse over the enemy unit, and when you see the cursor change to a target symbol, click on it with the right mouse button. All of your units have finished their turn. Click the End Turn button. Ahead is the city occupied by the enemy troops. Onward. First, we need to do some scouting. Select, move it into the designated hex. Now select the artillery unit. Begin the artillery bombardment of the enemy positions. Select the infantry again. Attack the enemy unit in close. Select the tank. Move it to the adjacent hex. Finish off the enemy infantry. It is time your troops occupy the victory hex. It is marked with a golden color. Congratulations! You have successfully finished the operation. Now you have the victory screen in front of you. It presents a detailed breakdown of the operation. In the leftmost column, you can see the information on your victory points and secondary objective completion. In order to get an absolute victory, you have to get 400 victory points. Initially, you have 150 points. You can obtain 100 points for the completion of all secondary objectives, 25 points for capturing all enemy flags, up to 100 points for eliminating enemy units. For clearing all enemy units, you get additional 25 points. The central column has information about prestige. You can see a detailed breakdown of how much prestige you gained or lost throughout the operation. The rightmost columns have your army statistics, how many of your units were lost and how many enemy units were killed in action. You may have noticed that your result is not the best possible one yet. The reasons are that you have not finished the secondary objective and there are still enemy units left undefeated. To achieve greater results, click the Return to Game so you're back in action. You have a couple more turns left to deal with these issues. As all of your troops have already finished their turn, you have to click the End Turn button. The enemy still holds some infrastructure. You have to capture that hex and get rid of the enemy unit to get an absolute victory. There's no better way to start the attack than artillery bombardment. Select your artillery unit. Attack the enemy. Then select the infantry. Keep attacking the enemy. Finally, select the finish off the enemy unit. All enemy units are defeated. Capture the hex where the enemy headquarters were located. Brilliant! Click on the Victory Progress bar. As you can see, click on the Finish Operation button to exit to the tutorial menu. Good day, Commander. In this operation, we'll go over the supply and infrastructure, without which any military campaign would not have been possible. In the previous part of the tutorial, we mentioned the key parameters of any unit, its ammo, fuel, and movement points. The supply system restores ammunition and fuel through infrastructure. Infrastructure is represented by various facilities such as Supply Hub, Maritime Hub, Supply Point, Airfield, Railroad Station, and Seaport. Usually, infrastructure is marked by the flag of the country, which is later we will tell you more about every type of infrastructure. But first, you have to capture a staging area for a further offensive operation. Your troops are already in position and ready to advance. Let's not keep the enemy waiting. Select the tank unit. Move it closer to the enemy. Attack the anti-aircraft gun defending the airfield. Now we can finish it off with the infantry. Select the unit. Move into the hex next to the airfield. Attack the anti-aircraft gun. The enemy airfield is now left unprotected. Move the infantry inside and capture it. When you defeat the enemy unit, the airfield has been captured. Now we can move our aircraft units here. The airfield provides supply to aircraft units, restoring their ammo and fuel on every landing. Additionally, aircraft units can acquire new equipment and be reinforced while landed on an airfield. Right now, we have to capture the supply point. You should start the attack with air bombardment. Select the bomber. Attack the enemy artillery. After attacking land targets, aircraft can be moved one hex away to free up the space for the next attacking air. Great! Keep attacking the enemy positions. Select Attack the enemy artillery. The enemy unit is move it into the hex with the supply point. The supply point is in our hands. Unfortunately, it is severely damaged by our bombardment, so currently it does not provide supply. Open the supply point's info screen by clicking on it with the middle mouse button. As you can see, all infrastructure has its own HP. If it goes down to 50% or lower, the facility ceases to function until its HP is restored and is higher than 50%. At the end of every turn, all infrastructure restores 20% HP. Close the tab. Select the supply point. This is the supply zone of the selected infrastructure facility, marked with the box icons on the hex grid. Currently, they are red in color as the supply point is damaged and is not functioning. Thus, there is no supply right now. In a 1 hex range around the selected infrastructure, there is a service zone, marked with the range icons. In these hexes, your units can acquire or change equipment and be reinforced. However, in our case, even after restoring its HP, the supply point will not provide supply, as it is not connected to the supply network. The supply network is comprised of all the interconnected infrastructure on the map. Supply hubs and maritime hubs play a key role in the supply network. While supply points just redistribute the ammo and fuel to the nearby troops, the supply hubs generate ammo and fuel, providing the whole supply network with it. Maritime hub works similarly, but only if there is a seaport under your control next to it. Consequently, without the connection to a supply or maritime hub, the supply points have nothing to redistribute to your troops. You can also see the connections between the different elements of infrastructure marked with supply lines. These lines connect all infrastructure facilities to the supply or maritime hubs. If the opponent cuts off the supply line, then the cut-off supply point or airfield ceases to provide supply. To cut off the supply line, it is enough to put your unit on any of the hexes it passes through, or any of the hexes adjacent to them, which will block it with the unit's zone of control. Before you end the turn, let's land our aircraft for refueling. Select the aircraft. Click on the Landing button in the Unit Actions panel. Select the second aircraft. Click on the landing button again. Click on the End Turn button. Select the tank unit. In order to restore the supply, you have to capture the enemy seaport along with the maritime hub. First, however, cut off the enemy infantry at the eastern outpost from the supply. To do it, move your tank unit into the designated hex. Select the supply point of the eastern outpost. The enemy in this area is now left without supply because of your maneuver. It is high time we take care of the coastal city. Move it to the designated hex. Select the 2nd Infantry Unit. Move it to the designated hex. Click on the End Turn button. The enemy has made an attempt to break through the blockade and restore supply, but it failed. Select the enemy infantry that attacked your tank. Now select the supply point you have recently captured. Infrastructure. Well, enough with this talk. To establish our own supply network, we have to occupy the seaport and the maritime hub. Also, we should not damage them too much, otherwise we will not be getting supplies until they're repaired. Click on the All tab next to the minimap to see all of your units. Select the bomber. Attack the enemy unit occupying the seaport. The seaport now has only 6 HP left. If we keep bombarding it, it will stop providing supply and we will have to wait for its restoration. So we should attack the infantry in the adjacent hex instead. Select the 2nd bomber. Attack the infantry defending the maritime hub. Now that the enemy units are weakened by the air bombardment, we can attack them in close combat. First, we have to finish off. Attack the enemy artillery. The enemy unit was destroyed. Move your infantry into the city to occupy the seaport. Excellent. Now the enemy infantry is left without artillery support, and you have taken the seaport. It provides supply to the naval units and allows them to acquire and change equipment. Located next to the seaport is Maritime Hub. Only supply hubs and maritime hubs that have a seaport next to them can generate ammo and fuel and deliver it to all other infrastructure through the supply network.